Before we jump into using your computer, let's start with a quick overview of what devices make up a computer. There are two basic computer setups. The first is the original desktop computer. That's what you see here. It has a separate monitor, keyboard, and system unit. The other type of computer is a laptop or a portable computer. With a laptop, the monitor is attached to the keyboard and opens and closes just like a notebook. If you don't have a laptop, you have a desktop computer. For a personal computer, the system unit here is where all the hard-working electronics are held. The hum you may hear coming from the system unit is the fan, which works to keep the electronics inside of here cool. Because all of the computing power is held in the system unit, everything else, the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, are all connected in the back to the system unit. All personal computers have a monitor, sometimes referred to as a screen or display, that shows the images generated by the computer. That's really all this piece of equipment does. It's like a television, but without the channels. You'll notice with a desktop computer, there's a power button here on the system unit and one here on the monitor. The power buttons are independent of each other, and both pieces need to be turned on. The first tip on why your computer screen is black: if you only push the button on the system unit, you're going to have a black screen. The monitor needs power as well, so make sure this button is turned on. If you have a laptop, you have one power button which turns everything on together. In this case, right here. Usually, they look the same. They've got a circle and a line through it. If you've used a typewriter before, you're going to be familiar with a computer keyboard. You can use a computer keyboard just like you would use a typewriter to write a document. But with the computer, the keyboard is also the primary tool to instruct the computer what it to do. You can ignore all these keys that don't look like the keys on your typewriter. We'll talk more about extra keys and keyboard commands in Lesson 2. The other primary tool in instructing your computer what you want it to do is the mouse. A mouse is a tool that helps you navigate your computer screen and visually enter commands without using the keyboard. The mouse has two buttons on the top, the left button and the right button. As you move the mouse along the table like this, it senses the movement, and it in turn moves the pointer on your screen. A pointer is typically shown on your screen as an arrow. Sometimes it could be a hand pointing a finger. These days, there are many varieties of mice, even wireless ones, but they all serve the same purpose: controlling the pointer on the screen. Most laptops have a touchpad and buttons here, and that operates as your mouse. You move your finger along the finger pad, and the pointer on the screen follows your finger's movements. There's also a right button and a left button, and these are the same as the right button and left button on your mouse. One of the first things you're going to need to know is clicking. You'll hear this term a lot. Pressing the right or left button on your mouse is referred to as right and left clicking. To right click means to press and release the right mouse button once. On a laptop, to right click, you press and release the right button below the finger pad. Double clicking is pressing the left mouse button twice in a row. While you may need to right click and left click, you always double click with the left button. One more term. Click the left mouse button to allow you to drag a document or icon. Remember that clicking and holding the left button is how you drag. We'll get back to that. Let's take a closer look at the screen and see what all this clicking looks like on a computer.
In the middle of the screen is a white arrow. This is called the pointer. Think of the pointer as being connected. As we move the mouse around our desktop, the pointer moves correspondingly on the Windows desktop. With the pointer positioned over the Internet Explorer icon, we can single left click to activate the icon. You'll notice the lettering is now highlighted in blue. If we single right click on the icon, a menu of options appears. These menus will provide different choices depending on the application of the icon or file you are working with. When we double-click the icon, the application opens up. To move an icon around the desktop is called dragging. To drag, we press the left mouse button and hold the button down as we move our mouse. When we are ready to place the icon, we release the button and the icon has a new location.
If you are using a laptop, you may find that the touchpad can be a bit challenging. Many people find it easier and more comfortable to plug an external mouse into their laptop. Let's talk about how we can do this by first turning back to our desktop computer. Our desktop computer has been set up by connecting the monitor, mouse, and keyboard to the system unit. Detailed instructions on setting up your computer should have come with the computer packaging, so we won't cover the specific details here. The connection points between the system unit and your devices are called ports. All of these are ports. Laptop computers have ports as well, back here. You don't need to spend a lot of time thinking about these ports, as long as you remember that this is where you connect equipment, such as a printer or a digital camera, to your computer. But how would you ever know which port to plug into your printer? Luckily, computer manufacturers have standardized the color of ports with their connectors to help us make the right connections. Ports and plugs also have different shapes depending on their functions. Just as you couldn't put a square peg into a round hole, you can't put a round plug into a square port. Laptop ports even use the same shape scheme. Luckily for us, was introduced. This half-inch rectangular port has standardized many computer connections. All USB ports are the same shape, size, etc. That means you can plug a USB connector into any of these USB ports and your device will work. The USB port is the choice for most of the new hardware you may be connecting to your computer. So, back to this mouse. Here we have a mouse and a USB connector. We locate the similarly shaped port on the back and a nice thing about USB ports is you can plug and unplug the devices while your computer is on.